Nick and Hannah were so promising. They ended up getting engaged. But as soon as they saw each other, it's very clear this relationship is going downhill. Now, a lot of people are giving Hannah some flack, and I think some of the flack is deserved, and I'll get on to that. But I feel like people are ignoring that Nick kind of started throwing shots. He was the one who started throwing shade. So obviously the whole thing was that everybody thought that Nick was this player, this fuckboy, and he only cared about looks. And the way that he was talking about his looks, people were expecting him to be this really big NFL type build and really attractive, really handsome. Little did they know, he certainly wasn't giving that. No disrespect, but I have to be real. So because Nick is giving this energy, Hannah is matching this energy. You know, she's saying that she was the hot cheerleader in high school. She was dating the captain of the sports team. She was that big. And she's making it seem to Nick that she still is that way. So a lot of their energy in the pods was very superficial and very looks-based. And it was all fun and flirty in the beginning. But then very quickly, Hannah started to get some anxiety. And do you know why she started to get some anxiety? Because she looked in the mirror and remembered she's not a skinny 16-year-old cheerleader anymore. She's got that grown woman weight on her. And she is very aware that she has misrepresented her looks to Nick. So she breaks it off with Nick and basically reveals that she doesn't look like how she did when she was a 16-year-old cheerleader anymore. Now Nick handled it very well, very respectful, very classy. I'll give him that. And I feel like this is what won people over. It won me over at this point. A little bit, because I always have suspicion. And I thought, okay, maybe he's not as bad as I thought he was. All the girls in the quarters are talking shit about Nick and had basically been encouraging Hannah to break up with him behind the scenes. And she ends up having only one more egg left in her basket. But then when she realizes that the egg in her basket still has 2 eggs, she's like, shit, I should have kept my options open. So she goes running back to Nick. Now, out of the 2 options, Nick was definitely the better option, and she ends up choosing Nick. Personally, I feel like she should have just left the experiment, because even though he took their temporary breakup really well and maturely, I personally don't think Nick is mature enough for marriage. I didn't see any substance of marriage material. Maybe a boyfriend, but marriage, he does not give me mature enough for marriage. So I personally feel like Hannah should have left single. But anyway, they get engaged and then the reveal happens. And that's when I said that it starts to go downhill. Now, everybody seems to be focusing on Hannah's body language, but if you really watch the scene, when the reveal happens, Nick immediately drops his head. He literally goes, what do you think that could mean? Because it was given, he didn't like what he saw either. But you know what? I'll give it to Nick. He played it off seemingly well, but I caught that. I caught it. But Hannah's disappointment was very easy to decipher. Very easy to decipher. And she basically thinks that Nick misrepresented what he looks like. Basically calling him a catfish. And a lot of people feel like this is cheeky because Hannah was all about, it's not about looks. Like, you know, you've got to love me for me. I don't want somebody who loves me just because of what they think I'm going to look like. Because what if I don't look like how you think I'm going to look like and you don't like me because you're all about looks? They had that deep conversation, all for her to turn around and be like, well, he's not what I thought he was going to look like. So it's very much giving that she is just as shallow as she accused Nick of being. And it's very much giving that she wanted the hot husband that loved her no matter what she looked like. And now she's disappointed because she's not going to get that fantasy, because even though what she said was rude, did she lie? Did she lie? I can't remember if it was him that says that he looks like Travis Kelce. I think it was him. But yeah, he ain't giving no Travis Kelce. Not even when Travis Kelce doesn't have a beard. But yeah, but ultimately it is very cheeky for Hannah to be talking about Nick's looks when it's all when she was all about it's meant to be Love is Blind. Now, further down the line, she does say, like, yes, she's over the fact that he basically catfished her, but she does find him attractive, and she feels like their physical attraction will grow. Now, everybody is kind of putting all of this rudeness and things about looks all on Hannah, but Nick was definitely low-key throwing some shots at Hannah's looks. Like, when they were meeting, he was talking about her height. He was saying it in a jokingly way, but it wasn't in a way of, oh my God, you're so tall, you're a Victoria's Secret model. It's giving, oh my God, you're so tall, you're so big. That's what it was given. I kind of feel like the banter that they were having probably continued with Nick's sly comments here and there. And that's probably why Hannah doesn't feel a type of way to be like, yeah, he's a fucking catfish. Because he's probably said the same thing. But Nick is a bit more PR coded. And if you caught in one of the episodes when they were on their engagement ring, he was talking about, don't be talking crazy about our sex life because I've got a brand back home. Now, he said back home, but clearly he's thinking about his brand whilst filming this show, and therefore beyond the show as well. So if he's thinking about his brand and he doesn't want Hannah saying anything crazy about their sex life, what else do you think he's going to be thinking about what he shouldn't say? So like I said, Nick has definitely been throwing shots at Hannah, but he is thinking about his PR, so he hasn't said things as explicitly as Hannah is saying. Then we get into this whole argument about basically Nick going on this ducky and racing this like 50, 60-year-old woman in front of Hannah. And then I believe Hannah may have called Nick over, and the lady was basically like, oh, like she's probably just jealous. Like making a sly dig at Hannah, and Nick was just laughing along. So Hannah basically felt a type of way about it because she felt like, you let this random lady disrespect me. And he's basically saying, oh, it was a joke and it's not that big of a deal and you're just jealous. And they keep going back and forth with this. And with this argument, I feel like it's very clear that they hate each other. Personally, with that whole situation, I think it was fair for Hannah to flag up that she felt disrespected in that moment. And it's definitely a red flag that Nick is trying to brush this off. I feel like you should never be comfortable with somebody insulting your partner, let alone a stranger, even if it is just a joke. Now, after that argument, apparently Hannah left him a note with all of these bullet points and all of the things that he can work on. And he basically says that it was very passive aggressive and too much. And yeah, I feel like that was too much because that could just be a conversation. Like, why are you leaving a note around? But ultimately, I feel like they don't like each other. They're not attracted to each other. And the resentment is already here and it's just going to keep building up. They both seem very immature, and I don't think that either of them are ready for marriage. And I don't think either of them are ready for marriage in general, let alone to each other. And it's only going to continue to go downhill from here, I suspect. But I got to hear from you guys. What do we think about Hannah and Nick? Do we stand? Do we not? Who is in the wrong here? Is it Hannah? Is it Nick? Is it both of them? Let me know your thoughts.